So where are we heading in 2026 for Bitcoin and bullion? So that's what we're doing, Bitcoin and bullion, gold, silver. We think that really there's going to be a whole lot more uncertainty coming in 2026. When we look at those asset classes, obviously there's this underlying trade that's been going on, the debasement trade that everyone's talking about, where you've got gold and silver and Bitcoin for that matter sort of rising on the back of uncertainty around what the US is doing in particular with their debt situation. So that'll be at play. But we've also got the backdrop of global liquidity changing. So how global liquidity is made up is changing a little bit. We've had historically central banks driving that, and that seems to be changing progressively towards treasury departments and governments really driving that directly through targeted spending. So we're not entirely sure how that plays out with the asset classes and where that sort of pushes that liquidity, but we are bracing a little bit for more turbulence and more uncertainty ahead over the next year. So that's sort of the base view. What would change that if we see real clarity coming out of the US government in particular about that central bank sort of spending, that central bank, well, not really spending more, easing coming back in force? That would be a really positive sign. That would be a change. And probably to the negative too, if we see no news and we see that Treasury is really not putting the same amount of liquidity into the market that we've been getting from central banks, that would be a real jolt to the system to the downside. So probably middle of the road is where we're expecting it, but there's certainly possibility for either of those extremes if we see those sort of policy actions coming out of it.